Welcome to Your Thoughts, Your Reality with Michael Cole, the podcast that shines a compassionate light on the journey of veterans battling through life's challenges. Michael is a dual elite certified neuroencoding specialist in coaching and keynote training presentations, dedicated to guiding military veterans as they navigate the intricate pathways of post-deployment life. Join him as we delve into the profound realm of neuroencoding science, empowering these brave individuals to conquer universal battles, procrastination, self-doubt, fear, and more. Together, let's uncover the strength within you to re-engage with families and society, forging a new path forward.
Hello, everybody. So I just want to share right now, I am so excited. First show of the year. And I have Cathy Casteel on here, one of my favorites. So I am very happy to have you, my friend. So just a little bit about Cathy. She's a certified neurotransformational coach with expertise in fostering personal growth and transformation. And we're going to get into that. Empathic transformation mentor and self-worth advocate, veteran for over 30 years of military service, specializes in uncovering secondary gain, which is what we're going to talk about today. So super excited about that. So the hidden benefits of unhealthy patterns, and most important, empowering individuals to break free. So Cathy, welcome. Thank you so much for being on again. And tell us a little more about yourself for people that don't know you yet.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. And thank you for being the first show of 2025. Yay. The best thing that I can sum it up for people that don't know me is my heart is for service to others. I lived in suffering for so long, not knowing that I had a choice, and there was a choice. And once I had that light bulb turned on for me, that has become a huge passion for me to let others know that you have a choice in life. You can choose to live in suffering and not. And if you don't, then awesome. I learned all these cool tools that I can share with you so you can, live the best life that you were meant to live.
Absolutely love it. And, it's funny that you just said that. Literally, I was just having a conversation with my friend Kat, and she just had this breakthrough. So it's really cool that you just brought that up. And we're going to really dive into secondary gain today. So a lot of people don't know what secondary gain is. And here's the crazy thing, right, Cathy, is a lot of people live their life without realizing, good or bad, what that secondary gain is and how it's affecting their lives. So let's dive in, shall we?
Yes, I love it. I get excited because in our line of work, I will share, and I'm sure you understand this, like we hear the word secondary gain, and then it's almost like the words, but the dots don't connect. And so when we were talking about and mentioning a topic, because a lot of people know me and my husband are both coaches, so we'll talk together and be like, what do we want to talk about? And one of the things he said, secondary gains, and I said to him, oh my God, I feel like I'm having a mental moment of what secondary gains is. So we started talking. And I share that to say, because some people may hear the words, but just not really understand what secondary gains are.
Absolutely.
And just a simple explanation is there's everything we do in life is for a gain. And sometimes people don't know that we have the surface gain that we see why we're doing something. And there's also a secondary gain, sometimes a tertiary gain in whatever it is that we're doing. And it can be a healthy way and it can be a disempowering way. Absolutely. So the importance is knowing which is which and having that awareness.
Absolutely. So thank you for that. And it's a great explanation, because honestly, unless you're in, the coaching world or the training or the neuro world, if you will, with Steve Linder and those amazing people, is most people don't have a clue what that means. Truly, I didn't. I'll own it. I didn't, until I got involved in the Neuroencoding Institute and being Keller and against Steve Linder and all those amazing people. I had no clue. And it's really powerful when you get out of victim mode, first of all, if you're there, because that's absolutely disabling. But when you get there and you realize, and it can make such significant changes in your life. So I know first I'd really like to ask you this, because we didn't get into this, because people, again, some don't know you specifically, like I do, even though you've been on the show multiple times and you're an amazing husband. Um, what got you involved? Really, what was the changing moment for you? And maybe let's talk about the secondary gain, shall we? What got you involved in coaching from your military service and things?
I think the original, so the intent, when I shared, like, I had this epiphany in 2013, as a matter of fact, when I got really introduced in self-development, that it was like this something that couldn't be satiated. I was open to this world that, oh my God, like, this is amazing. And what I realized, what got me into that part of the world, into the self-development side, was me and everything I was dealing with, more so on my veteran side, having left the military and dealing with that whole part of my life, everything that I dealt with in the military. Now the chapter of leaving the military and retiring and figuring out my new life. And then what shifted for me and wanted to step into it more is that, we've talked about this before, veterans, the military does such a great job bringing you into the military, and they do such a horrific job when you leave. And so many of our veterans are leaving the military feeling lost, confused. I had a conversation with one probably about a month or so ago where, and this will be a discussion for another time, but he's in something called the tunnel. And he didn't realize he was in the tunnel in his relationship with his wife. She's retired military. He just recently retired military, didn't really have something to move towards, a goal. And so leaving our veterans out there to fumble, to use drugs, to use alcohol, to sacrifice relationships, marriages, whatever, because the military wasn't setting them up for success, just really lit a fire under my behind to become a coach and help those that don't know there's another way.
And honestly, and I just got chills. That's where it touches you, right? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's that transition period. You look at the honeymoon phase, right? The first couple of weeks before, as Les Brown says, life be life, right? Before life kicks you in the ass and it starts coming at you, right? It's like you said, and the military has improved, I believe. The VA has improved, but they're not even close. And that's why I do what I do, because I saw my dad never find help until a year before he died. And I never want to see another family or another person, another veteran, first responder for that matter, go through that. So that transition period, when you go through that transition period, and tell me if I'm wrong here, please. We're friends, talk about it. If you have a plan, if you have excited anticipation instead of stress and overwhelm for the future, and what that looks like, does it change? Does it change your life and the people around you, instead of being overwhelmed, stressed, and anxious? And of course, all of the other things you mentioned leads obviously down to, solitary, and then a lot of suicide, obviously.
I will share. So that is part of it. And I love how you say Les Brown's life be lifing, because my life be lifing when I came from deployment, and I didn't know. I was in my own little world thinking life was great. And my husband's like, something's up with you, girl. Like, I don't know what's going on, but we're going to make a trip down to the VA. And that's really before I got into self-development. That was one of my first deployments married. And I came back and I went and saw a psychologist, and she didn't get me. She had never deployed. She didn't understand. And so, to your point, yes, it does help with the right people to get you out of overwhelm and see. And it also helps for those that aren't necessarily in the military, but to hear this information, because you can now identify that veteran's going through that, because life be life and they don't know.
It's
and
true.
So somebody with love and respect can say, I don't know what's going on, and you don't have to tell me. However, I heard this podcast, this great podcast, Your Thoughts, Your Reality, and said maybe you might want to talk to somebody. And if it's not me, just somebody to bring the awareness. So to your point, yes, there's that piece, but then there's also the unawareness piece of even realizing that and having somebody that loves you and respects you come from a place of compassion. Amen. And no judgment. Come from a place of compassion, saying, hey, I think there's a way out if you're open to it and you want it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Amen. So, with that said, as far as the secondary gain, let's kind of dive in to more of those details. So, with secondary gain, people often talk about the concept of it. Again, a lot of people don't know what it is. And we've kind of broken into it. Can we give, maybe we can both share. I know we talked about this a little bit. I didn't know you were going to interview me, but that's okay. I love it. So can we talk a little bit about, to give examples so people really understand it? And your amazing husband, just popped up here. Hey, Robert, love you to death, brother. Judgment is a stopper of healing. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for saying that.
I will share first before we get into secondary gains. It's important because not everybody has heard of Tony Robbins' 6 Human Needs. And that is massive. Like, it's on YouTube. If nothing else, please at least Google what the 6 human needs are. And I'll just cover them quickly, not into detail. There's certainty, uncertainty, there's significance, and then there's loving connection. Those are the top 4. And then there's 2 underneath, which is contribution and growth. And 2 of them have to be a driving force. Like in our life, 2 of those are a driving force. So when we meet what we call a gain, we gain something from what somebody's doing or what we're doing. So I'll give an example. For me, I volunteer a lot with Team Rubicon. And for me, the primary gain for myself is one of my top driving forces in the 6 human needs is contribution, service to others. Like, I will meet that at any cost, sometimes healthy and sometimes unhealthy. So there's also a secondary gain for it for me. The secondary gain is I'm around a lot of veterans that I'm able to have conversations with and see where they're at and maybe build some rapport and understand where they're at. Are they struggling in life? And so that my secondary gain is a little bit on what I consider on the selfish side for me. And I consider it in an empowering way, is that I'm able to now figure out where this veteran is at, maybe have a conversation with them and at least maybe put a little light bulb in that dark room that they're in, or show them that there's another pathway and they don't have to go down that road. So for me, that's an example of like my primary gain and my secondary gain. So I know we talked about this, Michael. I would love to hear what your primary gain and if there's a secondary gain to you having this podcast.
For me, I think literally, again, like you, it's contribution. I get so much fulfillment on just helping people, creating that ripple effect, dropping seeds for trees to grow later. That's a really huge one. That's just service to others. The secondary gain for me is really that connection and fulfillment. I think with really filling my heart with the connecting with just different people, hearing their stories. Which, guess what? Again, like you, it helps me. Because just like conversations like this, you don't know who you're going to connect with or who you're going to talk to or who you're going to touch in a positive way that's going to make that change. And so that happens for me with every guest. I sit here and I look forward to talking to Cathy Casteel and Robert Casteel and Yvette Ulloa, who popped up here as well, and so on. I get, and of course the amazing husband Dave, I really, it fills my cup. So those are my gains and secondary gains, I think. And again, it's not to be selfish. And it can be, I guess, the secondary gain, but is it like you?
And are there worse ways to be selfish, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like in Pitbull had a great expression. He says, and I heard this, I don't know why this stuck in my head, these things that just stick in your head, like your spleening, you know, these things that just stick in your head, is it's okay to be selfless. It's not selfish to be selfless. It's okay to fill your cup up how you fill it up. And I do want people to know, yes, both of us do have some healthy ones. And I'm sure if I sat down long enough, I could 100% come up with some disempowering ones for you. And just to give an example so people can understand, maybe a disempowering one is, so we have a lot of veterans and I have friends that have witnessed someone being killed in front of them. And so they take on, and then they come home, but their buddy doesn't, whether it's male or female. And so then they take it on themselves of, beating themselves up because they made it home and the other person didn't. And in our line of work, we call this victim mode. And I use that word, that's what we use in the coaching industry. We get into victim mode. And victim mode does give us a secondary gain. By remaining in victim mode, you're getting empathy, sympathy, whatever you want from others, torturing yourself because you feel you need to be tortured, and you're gaining significance by it. In other words, other people are feeling sorry for you or want to help you, and that does create some significance around it. Now, do I say, don't live in that space? We all have a space, a home that we go to temporarily. When bad things happen, we go to a temporary home. What I tell my coaching clients is, don't take up homage there. It's okay to go and visit that home. We're human. We're going to have those moments. Just don't take up homage and live there, because you deserve more out of life. And the person, your battle buddy, would rather see you succeed in life and be happy than both of you having died on that battlefield that day.
Absolutely. And it's we go there because it's comfortable, right? Because, like you say, it's home. So just to add to it, don't turn on the TV, get some popcorn and get in the chair and take a nap there, because it can very easily turn into your identity. And that's when it's a problem. Because that's when it's the way you live. And it's when you look at it, and sometimes it's hard to figure it out because you're so in that place. And I can say it for myself as well. I'll own that again. I'll own the heck out of that. So it's really a place to visit, but move from. So let's talk about that if we can. So, and I know we both deal with it being coaches, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing when that breakthrough happens, and that light bulb goes off and they go, oh, So let's talk about that. Give me some thoughts on let's start with, how do you realize that you're there? And then let's follow up with some tips and tools to get us out of that.
Absolutely. And a lot of times it's hard for you to see yourself in that. And I say this because we as coaches have coaches, right? Even though you're a coach and we have these awarenesses and we can see it, there's a lot of blind spots that we have. We get tunnel vision, or we don't want to think that we have these disempowering states or beliefs that we have.
Right.
So I think really it's if you're struggling in some area of your life and you're kind of hanging out there and things aren't changing, to have this information and be able to just kind of ask yourself the questions, right? After listening to this information and you leave and you're like, oh, there's an area in my life I'm really struggling at. Let me sit and think about, do I have any extra gains? And that's a challenge for the average layperson, and I say this with all, like, no ego, it's hard to dive into we have both done a lot of work, as I call clearing our mirrors, because we've had a lot of stuff that we've lived through, and a lot of people are challenged in that respect. So I would highly encourage to reach out to somebody. If you can sit with it and figure it out on your own, awesome. And secondary gains can be challenging to figure out. So getting somebody that a coach or resources where you can sit down, if you have a therapist or whoever it is, and said, hey, I heard about this thing called secondary gains. I'd like to know if I have any. So I share that to say, to your point, Michael, it's hard for us to tell on our own. So on the tips and tools, it's spending time meditating, journaling. If you believe in a higher power, having that relationship with God and asking for discernment on those things to have him provide you some light.
Yeah.
And the other part is to reach out to somebody who has done a lot of the work and can sit and have a conversation and maybe see some of your blind spots that you're not seeing.
And that's really, I love that you said that, because that's literally what it is. It's and we're human, everybody. We're human. Okay, so be kind to yourself first and realize we're human. We have these things, and sit with yourself, journal. I love those tips. First of all, ask a close loved one that you trust and respect to not be, as Robert and you said earlier, judgmental, because judgment ruins the game. It ruins the life. It ruins everything. Judgment, just get rid of it. It does no good for anybody, I promise. So if you can sit there and talk to a friend, and if they I don't know what you're talking about, reach out to us. I don't know about you, but I do free complimentary calls, for veterans and first responders and so on. Just get on a call. Just ask, hey, what does that mean? And this is kind of what I'm dealing with. What do you see? Because when you find someone, especially someone skilled, that can literally, you have the valley and can see from here to here the gap that you're not seeing, because it is difficult to see it. We have those aha moments sometimes for ourselves, and we look back 10 years before and say, oh man, what I learned, that filled the gap. And you can see those patterns. I'm a big pattern guy. So you see those patterns to just fill that bridge, put that bridge on there to fill the gap, that get you so much further, so much faster. So you can focus on more important things, and first starting with yourself, but all the people around you that those gaps, those secondary gains are affecting in a negative way potentially.
And if I may share, Michael, to your point, people can feel judgment and people can feel compassion. So if you can check in with yourself before you go to somebody to have this conversation. And if you're checking in with yourself and it's compassion, then absolutely go to that person with compassion. And yes, I do. To me, having a 60-minute call with a veteran to help them see the light brings so much joy to my heart. And just say, hey, we're not broken. We're just going through life and things have happened. It doesn't break us. It just takes us down a different road. And again, I believe in my higher power. God put me on a journey for a reason. I meant to learn something from it. And even Oprah talks about it. And Deepak Chopra, you can look at life that it happens for you or to you. And we both believe that life happens for us. Yeah. And so everything that you've been through, whether it's through the military or circumstances or deployments, you've been through that for a reason. And God's going to give you the strength and the people in your life to help you get through that. And that, we both align so much on that, is that we're not going to let our veterans do it alone. And it breaks my heart, and it makes my heart happy that it's, your dad finally found it. I just wished he would have found it sooner. And that being said, though, if he had, would it have sparked the passion in you to do what you're doing and have this amazing podcast that's affecting so many more veterans?
I truly believe God, source, whatever you believe, I truly believe that God takes you down a journey. And if I wouldn't have done or been through, made the bad choices when I was younger, if I wouldn't have, taken a step or talked to this person or that person or whatever the case may be, I wouldn't be the man I am. If I wouldn't have seen domestic violence in my childhood home, I wouldn't be the man I am. And I can't be more proud of who I am because I've done the work. And when you look back and you move forward, because life, like you, it's happening for me. Because all of the challenges, all of the life be lifing, thank you, Les Brown, is to learn from. Because otherwise, you're a victim. Otherwise, you go down that rabbit hole. And the cool thing, if I can, is you see the differences and you see it everywhere in the world. You take two siblings from the same household, including my childhood. I mean, if you don't learn from the mistakes, you don't move forward and grow and be a better person. If you really have to look at those things and just say, what is there to learn here? Belief systems are very powerful, and obviously, your thoughts are your reality. Mm-hmm. So if we can stop and think about it and really look at the gift in things, you can always find a gift. I'm just going to say it. You can always find a gift if you look hard enough. And that's the difference, I believe, in belief systems and the difference in how people live.
And all the work you've done in your amazing wife, Susan, all the work that she's done, the two of you together. And I'll leave with this thought is that somebody's got to go first. So whether it's you that are having the challenges or your significant other or spouse or whoever, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you want to call it, even siblings, like brothers, sisters, this work is for everybody, and somebody needs to go first. You can point and say that other person needs to change, or you can look at yourself and say, how am I showing up?
Amen. Love
so
that.
If I'm showing up with unhealthy secondary gains, then they're going to continue to show up in a certain way because I'm expecting that. And it's feeding something that I need to be fed, whether it's empowering or disempowering. So, somebody's got to go first in all of this.
Amen. So there's everybody, I believe, has leadership in them. Someone just needs to take that first action. They need to take that 2 millimeter shifts to steer the ship to a new destination. And it's generational, people. It's generational. So we're out of time. I can't believe it's been half an hour.
Can I share one quick thing?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Just because you shared that, it is generational. And understand that everything you went through as a veteran, first responder, whoever, you can continue to take that on to your kids and your kids, or you can choose to step up and be the change. So that you said that and I was like, oh my God, yes, I wish people understood how much generational that affects.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for saying that as well. So with that said, first of all, I just want to remind people, because I just jumped in the conversation because I'm so excited. On the top, let's see if I can point right. Yeah, there we go. Top right-hand corner of your screen, there's a blue QR code. Please scan that. It leads you to Empower Performance Strategies, all the podcasts. We have Facebook groups for veterans and their families, the 2 different ones to join to be part of our community. It's got a couple of free books that I wrote. Please just reach out, be part of the community and part of the mission. Please do that. So, my dear friend, Cathy, how do people reach you?
So thank you for that. If you want to reach out to me, if any of this resonated with you, or you just want to understand more, or you just feel lost, feel free to send me an email at Cathy@msm coachinggroup.com. Or if for some reason you're not getting there, you can reach out to Michael. He has my information. If you need help, especially having gone through these holidays, please reach out.
Very good. Very good. And I don't know if you remember we do this. It's been a little bit. 3 tips to get veterans and their families further faster.
So the biggest thing, and I'm going to recircle back around to some of the things I talked about today. 1, know it's generational and you have the ability to make the changes now. 2, realize that you're not broken, that it's just a process, right? Recognizing that you're in a temporary home. Just don't take up homage there. Just notice it and seek somebody else to help guide you through that. And the third thing is just if you have time to meditate on your life and what's going on, and is there a healthy, empowering secondary gain, or is it a disempowering secondary gain? And if it is, you have a choice and ability to choose otherwise.
Fantastic. Love those. Absolutely love those. So again, we're out of time. We'll have you back. I'd love to get you and Robert on.
Absolutely. 100%.
I miss that guy. So I just want to thank you as always. I'm honored that you spent the time with us. Time is the most precious resource we have as humans. We don't get it back. So that you spent the time and took the time out of your life to spend the time with me and our audience, just to create that ripple effect and drop some seeds of wisdom, some golden nuggets, of course. Truly honored. Thank you so much, Cathy.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you so much, Michael.
Love you, lady. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining us on another insightful journey of Your Thoughts, Your Reality podcast with your host, Michael Cole. We hope the conversation sparked some thoughts that resonate with you. To dive deeper into empowering your thoughts and enhancing your reality, visit empowerperformancestrategies.com. Remember, your thoughts shape your reality, so make them count. Until next time, stay inspired and keep creating the reality you desire. Catch you on the next episode.